Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 116th episode of Dragon Quest Slime Time, a Dragon's Den podcast. This is one of your hosts, Plattym3.
And this is Pendy. Oh boy, do we ever have slime on our face?
Ew, whoa, hold on there. This is not Slime Time After Dark. You keep that to yourself.
No. I mean, are we ever embarrassed? We had an entire episode dedicated to disproving the Dragon Quest VII rumor before the official announcement, and we were completely wrong.
That's right. Sorry, person's name that I don't recall that posted all that stuff. Apparently, our imaginations weren't big enough to realize that Square Enix would actually do this. Like, what the hell?
I might need to reimagine how I live my life.
I know I'm just a guest here, but I think this podcast is headed for a disaster of biblical proportions because of this mistake.
What do you mean biblical?
What I think he means is Old Testament, Platty, real Wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies, rivers and seas boiling,
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
All right. I get the point. I think you're all taking this way too seriously. How about instead of panicking, we just gather all our tablets together and take a journey into the past, present, by reviewing this Dragon Quest VII Reimagined demo.
We've got a bunch of pilchard sandwich loving guests to talk about the demo today. We welcome Roto and Twinkie.
Oh, nom, 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 nom.
Nom, 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 nom.
Oh, did someone leave the bones in? Ah. All right. Wow. You guys really love your pilchard. Not really a fan of myself, but anyway, we'll just go straight to our first question for all of us to answer. Sorry, I'm gonna get away from the fishiness of this intro. So everyone, the demo here. What did you play it on, and how did it look to you? Andy, we'll start with you.
Well, the pilchard sandwiches look delicious, for one. No, I played mine on the original Switch and thought it looked fantastic. I love the diorama look of the whole world, I like how the characters look. Something I noticed when I was going back and forth between some of the original versions and this new version, which I kind of miss. It's just a small thing, but like the 3DS logo for Dragon Quest VII has like the ship, and the ship actually moves along as you're looking at the logo, and it's static in this demo. So maybe something they could put in the full game. I doubt it, but just little tiny thing there, which I thought was neat when I was comparing versions. But overall, I love the look of this game. It's very nice.
I'm gonna call you Liam right there and point out the static monster sprites in the Dragon Quest III on the Switch and mobile, whereas they like moved in the Super Nintendo version, but didn't in this one, or didn't in those. You noticed the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Rhoda, what do you think?
I played on the Switch too, and I thought it looked great. I tried not to watch too many of like the promotional stuff just because like I wasn't super like invested in 7 again, which I can get to more in the later. But I thought the game looked great. In terms of like presentation wise, I definitely enjoyed like the feel of the overworld and the few islands that we got to explore.
What do you think, Twinkie? Yeah.
Yeah, I primarily played on PC. Really, it looks and performed really well on PC. Square's been doing a pretty decent job with their PC ports, at least, because it worked phenomenally. And I was actually pleasantly surprised that they had like a limit. You can set the FPS limit to like 120 frames on PC. So my computer ain't good enough for that, but I thought that was really nice. I did play a little bit on the Switch too as well, and performance and everything looked fine. When the initial trailer showed up a couple months ago, I wasn't really sold on the whole like toy model kind of look to it, but after I started playing it, as Pendy said, the diorama effect like really was really good with this remake. So I was pleasantly surprised with that.
You know what? I'm gonna go right along with you. I couldn't give two flying dolls about those dolls. Like they went on and on about that and showing the dolls. I'm like, they're just creepy as fuck. I couldn't. I don't want to play with dolls. Not like that. I don't want to be up late at night laying in bed with these 3 inches from my face. I played on the Switch too, though, and honestly, like you only really get that doll kind of effect in the cutscenes, and even then, I like forgot that was a thing. I don't know, an hour into it, it like didn't even occur to me. I just think it all looks great. Like,
Did they do
I don't
dolls
know.
for everything?
I don't think so, but I think like for the 4 main characters, which at the same time, then I'm looking at all the other characters and I'm like, are these that much better than if you just generated them normally?
Right.
It almost, yeah. I mean, it seemed more of a marketing thing to pull these dolls up and say we scanned them in and did it. Like I was just I redid the first 20 minutes again recently, and like I was watching them walk up, and I'm like, I don't see it. They just look like decent graphics. Like, okay.
Right. Because I was curious if they did the dolls for like enemies and stuff too, because I thought the enemies looked pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think so. All we've ever seen is the main crew. But I played on Switch too, and yeah, pretty much echo what Twinkie said. It was beautiful. It was nice. I started on Switch 1, and then like right the day it came out was right around my birthday, and then I ordered myself a new lovely grip for the first time for my Switch 2, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna want to play the real game on Switch 2. So
Did you notice like a big difference from playing on the Switch 2?
no. I mean, I had the OLED, so it was nice and bright and lovely, and performance-wise, it didn't seem to be lacking in any way.
Gotcha. Yeah, the only thing I wished really is almost that I could zoom in.
And see, I love zooming out. I'm playing a game right now that you can zoom way out. I'm like, oh my god, I love this.
Well, no, just to like see kind of like the finer
Oh,
details.
yeah.
But that would probably break the illusion.
Yeah, I think it's got a good distance, but you're right. Like everything looks really, really nice. I understand wanting to see closer.
Yeah, I saw in some group that supposedly there was some kind of zoom function, but I looked all around and I didn't see anything for any kind of zoom whatsoever in the game.
I probably had to talk to somebody in the castle.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. So moving along from that, what does everyone think about the puzzles and the opening in general before the party heads into the past? Platty, we'll start with you.
Right. I've got no love for the PlayStation 1 opening. Absolutely zero. If I could be negative, it would. I guess I'd be hate, but I don't hate it. It just wasn't like, okay, so it was a thing I did, and it was like, come on, let's move. If we're reimagining, thank effing God they did away with like 90% of that. I was so happy not to have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it was great. Like those little puzzles. I liked the shadow one. That was pretty awesome. And the other one, whatever, is super easy. But I'm not a puzzle person in games. I hate getting bogged down by a puzzle that I take too long to solve in a turn-based RPG, especially. So I was fine with it. I loved having a battle in the first, I think I posted somewhere else. We have a joke on RP Gamer, what's the time to slime? And it goes back to a long time ago, them talking about Dragon Quest VII when it came out, and like, time to slime is 2 hours. And it wasn't a slime, but the time to slime was under an hour, and that was wonderful. And actually, I think time to slime, actual slime, was under an hour still. So, Twinkie?
Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of different with the Dragon Quest VII original PS1 beginning. I kind of like it, but I understand I'm probably one of those weird people about it.
That's all right.
Yeah, I was pleased with it for the most part. I completely forgot about the shadow puzzle, but I thought that was actually really cool. But like a little after that or before, I don't remember. You had the little puzzle where you had to push the blocks to block the water. I'm like, come on, it's. I instantly knew what I had to do as soon as I walked in, so I kind of rolled my eyes on that. But when it comes to the length of the intro, I thought it was. I don't want to say perfect, but it was really good. It didn't take too long to get to the first fight, and I felt pretty engaged with the game until that point. So I feel like the remake handled it pretty well.
What do you think, Roto?
I mean, I feel like it flowed pretty well. Granted, like, so I never really played a lot of the original. Like, I kind of watched a friend of mine play through it. And so, like, my first full, like, Dragon Quest VII experience was on the 3DS version.
Oh, that's right. Didn't you start Dragon Quest with 9 when you got into it?
No, I started with technically the Warrior Monster games.
Oh, okay.
But then like I got back into like Dragon Quest when 8 came out.
Gotcha.
Once they like kept up with the Dragon Quest moniker. But so like that was like I remember a friend like playing through 7 when I was like playing the Monsters games, and he would like show me the final boss and some of the secret fights and stuff like that. But yeah, and I mean I really like the game on the 3DS, And I feel like the way they touched up stuff, I mean, I basically echo the sentiments that Platy and Twinkie have said, that like that first like little fight kind of surprised me because I wasn't expecting like any combat.
Mm.
And I like the shadow puzzle. And yeah, like some of the stuff like the water puzzle was, you know, pretty simple. But in terms of like getting you used to exploring and kind of setting up that feel of progression before like dealing with the monsters, I think it was adequate enough for how big of a game, at least how big the game used to be. You know, it'll remain to be seen what'll entail everything in the full release. But I feel like it did a good job for like introductory stuff, especially if it's like might be someone's first Dragon Quest game. Now,
Yeah, I thought the puzzles were fun, particularly the little shadow slime puzzle that was cute. And I
Mhm.
did like getting that battle early on before you hit the slimes, so that was interesting. But I did like that they threw that in there. And yeah, I'm with Platy where just cut, cut, cut when it comes to that beginning. I love what they did in this version. Like it's even shorter than the 3DS version, and I love it. There's no going around getting those pieces of equipment that you had to in the previous two versions before, or the millions of puzzles with no monsters and so on and so forth. You know, you have your little side quests to get the tablets, and then once you actually get into the temple, it's just right to business, and you get thrown into the past. It's like, no, we're not wasting time here, and I really like that. I thought it was like the 3DS like tried to shorten it, and it got kind of a little awkward, but like the way they did it here, I thought was very well done.
you still had like that. There was what like the Saint armor stuff, right?
Yeah,
Was in the
in the first
original.
two games. In
Yeah,
the original, and there was a lot of puzzles to get to it. And then the 3DS, you still had to get that armor, but it was much less complicated to get it.
I will say that like the one thing that I thought was kind of adorable, like mechanically, how the game turns out now because you have that first battle is because both like you and Kiefer get a level up now from that first fight, right? So when you
Mhm.
get into the battle with the slimes, and Maribel's the only one at level 1, that kind of like equates to their like eagerness to do like what's going on. And so I thought that was kind of like a cute little touch.
Hmm.
Mm.
I always, and Pendy, you and I are like cut, cut, cut. I 20 years, 25 years here after the original game have a hard time hearing people talk about, oh, but the beginning, it was so awesome, blah blah blah. And those same people bitching about what's that one island, and I think they might have cut it from this one, where the two nations are fighting, and you're going back and forth and back and forth, trudging back and forth. You can't zoom there because it's in the past, and you're going through that checkpoint every time. Oh my god. Like that was one of the most annoying back and forths in the game for me. Dragon Quest VII. Do you know what island I'm talking about?
I don't
Yes, don't
remember
remember
the
the name.
island, but I
Yeah, I
remember.
can't remember
Yeah.
the. But like, I hear people all the time like, "Oh, the beginning's so awesome," and then they bitch about that thing, and I'm like, "It's the same thing. These two pictures are the same."
It's tough because like a lot of that stuff too is like nostalgia, right? That
Exactly. 25 years later, there's a lot of nostalgia. Yep.
yeah.
Like I said, it's not that I had hate for it back then, but I got no patience for that shit now. All right. So, what does everybody think about the voice acting and the music? Andy, we'll start with you.
I thought the voice acting was pretty good. The only issue that I had was I noticed some kind of echo effect that they use. Like it's most prominent when you're in a cave and you can hear it when people do voice
Mm-hmm.
acting, their
Yep.
voices will echo, and that makes sense. That's fine. But then I would notice the echo in a house, in a castle, and things like that. And if I played it handheld, I didn't really notice it except for when I was in a cave. But when I played it on my TV, it was like too much. I was like, I don't know. I think they tweaked it a little bit too much when it came to the echo and anytime you're indoors. I don't know if that's just me and my TV and how that's set up, but that's the impression that I got.
Rhoda, what do you think about all this?
So it's interesting Penny says that because I played primarily in handheld and like I noticed it in the cave, but I didn't notice it
Yeah.
anywhere else. And I even
Mhm.
went into settings and I saw that for like audio, everything was like maxed except for voice. So I actually went and voiced max and I think I lowered like the sound effects a little bit.
Mhm.
But otherwise, I thought the voice acting was pretty good. The only thing that was kind of off was like some of their attack and hit like lines that they would say like in combat that they like the pitch didn't necessarily sound right for the character. Like either Kiefer sounded like it was like too high of a scream or something, and that stood out to me. Otherwise, I thought everyone sounded great. Like Maribel
Fire
and
slash!
Kiefer sounded perfect.
Uh,
So like I do like that there is like context based stuff for the spells. Like Maribel was saying like different things based on like if she was using frizz or crack.
Mhm.
We're getting more modern.
Yep.
What about you, Twinkie?
When it comes to the music, I thought it's on par. It's good. Voice acting, I thought it was really good for the most part. The only like notable thing is that one of the boy NPCs, I don't know if it was just me, but it sounded like an older guy trying to mimic a kid's voice, and it was kind of obvious.
I remember that NPC.
Yeah, and I kind of had a laugh at that, but outside of that, it's pretty good. I did have a small issue though, but I don't know if it's a PC issue or if it's just because of my setup. I wasn't able to find it on the Switch 2 version. But NPCs, when they would talk, like the first like couple words were like were more silent, and then it would get louder to the normal like sound level. And I noticed it like for 2 to 3 lines in my playthrough. But as I said, that could be my setup or it could be a PC version thing. I don't know, but
On the Switch 2 version, I also encountered some lines that were quieter than normal.
yeah. As I said, I haven't played much in the Switch 2 version to compare the two, but that's kind of what I noticed with my playthrough.
Yeah, I've noticed that with the HD 2D remakes too. Like the voice acting always seemed too soft for me, and I would always go into settings and turn down the music a bit and pump up the voice acting if that was an option. And uh, I mean, it could be a localization thing too, because I don't know like if that was an issue with the Japanese voice acting. I didn't go back and check that for like the echo thing with my TV or what the issues you guys are talking about as well. So I'm wondering if that's a localization glitch because that has happened recently in some of these games, or what. But when you were talking about like the little boy with the more adult voice, all I could think of is a scenario where they like hired a little person to play that voice, and he's got like a beard. He's smoking a cigarette, having a beer. He's like, "Hey, what's up, son?" He's supposed to be like 5.
I don't want to echo what Pendy said about echoing, but I found 95%. It was all good. It was all fine. I love the music. It sounds very nice. The voice acting was pretty good. I was like, oh man, I feel like I'm gonna get a little overwhelmed by the Britishness of everything. Um, I I don't know, some games the Britishness seems fine because you're in a castle and everything. It felt out of place a little bit, like in Pilchard Bay. I don't know that. I
I
just
was gonna
see that
say
there's more.
because it gets Irishy in Malloy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially with Maeve.
yeah. I was like, this is getting a little too we're a little too proper there in the seacoast.
Oh,
Accent's a little
Northeast.
strong,
Yeah,
so it is.
yep.
Oi, freshen your pilchard pie, Gov.
And other than that, there was something with the audio, and I can't remember what it was because I remember I played for about 2 hours on my TV, and then the other 2 hours I was laying in bed, and I usually have my Switch propped on a pillow, like on my belly, and there was something, and I remember lifting it up so that the sound comes out of the bottom of the Switch too, and like lifting it up, and like, well, that still sounds weird. Like I thought it was because it was muffled because it was on the pillow, but that was something that like happened in 10 seconds, and I was like, well, that's weird, and never really thought about it or heard it again. So I'd give it a 98%. All pretty good there.
Yeah, I think that like some of the stuff was like quieter. It might have been just like a weird editing
Hmm.
issue or something like that.
If anything, that's all I heard was a little. Like,
Yeah,
what was
hopefully they'll
that?
get that
Oh.
tuned out for the full release.
We shall see. Now, what did we think of the party chat that has returned? Platty, we'll start with you.
I don't understand what party chat is.
Twinkie, we'll start with you. No.
I honestly probably use party chat as much in this demo as I have in any other full Dragon Quest release total.
What?
So I
I knew
am
this was
not a
coming.
party chat. I am not a party
No.
chat person. Like never
There's so much
ever
flavor
use it.
text
It's
you're
there.
missing. What?
Exactly. I'll go eat a hamburger and have my
Buddy, I'm
flavor while
seeing
I'm
you in a
reading the
different
text.
light tout now.
I am a dirty puzzle hating party chat ignoring.
That was my
What else
favorite
could
thing
I
in the
go
like
on?
the Dragon Quest VIII on 3DS, just seeing what Mori would say.
Oh, I wish, and you know what? It's because I just never think of it. I like this because it popped up more, and even because it popped up more, I
Yeah, because
did
it's on
hit
the
it,
B button
even
now.
when it even when it didn't. Yes, that's it. Like, give me a quick button, and I'll press that quick button. I don't want to have to go into a menu and do anything. As we know, that there's another thing, menu hating Platty. Like, I am not
No,
the
I mean
menu
that's
searcher.
fair. I feel like that's
I
like
know.
reasonable because I remember like in 8 like you like press like select or start and it would bring up all the
Mhm,
party and then you select which one you want to talk to.
That was
mhm.
annoying.
Yeah.
I like the way they've implemented it here, and I will actually use it. So there's my highest praise.
Mhm.
Party chat, I will use it.
I mean, if anything, it'll open you up to like now if you have a replay through the older games that have it to like maybe you'll be more inclined to like check it out
I
because
know. This might change my worldview.
the one I remember the most that I feel like it did it really well was like the DS version of 6. Like had like every character had not only something to say for like everything you did, but almost like half the NPCs in every town like they would respond to or something like that. It was like some of the times you'll like really get a lot of interesting things that like if you don't do it, you know, you kind of like missing out on like a lot of the characterization of the party.
Oh yeah, I loved it
Maybe.
particularly for 4 because I love that cast of characters so much, and to get
Mhm.
more personality quirks from them as you talk to them through party chat was amazing. At least in the mobile version, since they didn't have it in the DS version. But
Yeah, that's like a famous
See,
case.
I've just been waiting for them to make it easy enough. So when we get the 4, 5, and 6 remakes, in a few years, because we all know they're coming, but I'm ready. I'm ready for a completely new experience.
there you go. You just got to press that button. That's it.
Just
Just
gotta press that
boom.
button.
My initial impressions on it were negative because because when that icon showed up, when it's like, oh, Kiefer has something to say, sorry for bringing up Final Fantasy here, but it kind of reminded me of Final Fantasy IX's like bonus dialogue thing, but when you press select when you're in town and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I pushed the button, he's like, yeah, you got to go here. I'm like, oh, okay. And then it popped up a couple more times, and he's like, oh yeah, go here, go here. And I was starting to get frustrated because the game obviously gives you like where to go, the objective markers, which I'm not bothered by that, but it felt super redundant. And I took a break from the demo and I was reading online, and people were like saying like, yeah, you gotta actually use it more than that, and they actually have other things to say. And then when I got back into the game and I started, using it after like certain events, they had party chat and dialogue was changing. I'm like, okay, it's pretty good. I'm a little bit with Platty on this that I'm not huge on party chat. I don't hate it, I don't avoid it, but I don't do it that often, and I should. And I feel like on this game I'll probably end up using it a bit more.
Nice. What do you think, Roto?
I love party chat as a feature, so I'm always glad to see it included. I feel like in this game, just based on the demo, like it's really on the nose with how they are essentially using it to like guide the player on like what to do. Which I mean it is makes sense in some situations where the characters are like, oh, like what do we do here? Like that's about what they would say if you're like, in a situation. But like always love when they do like talk about more things. Like when you get to the golem and like even before you like beat the golem monster, like they'll react like, holy crap, like how did that thing like build the tower or something like that? And I've always found it like a really neat feature because if you just play through like a Dragon Quest game, a lot of times the characters won't have a lot to say and they'll put a lot of that stuff in like the party chat. And like I'm someone who kind of like really enjoys that kind of world building essentially because especially when the characters talk about other things that especially when it gets to like things that they like or random stuff that they don't normally say. Like I play like Final Fantasy 14 a lot, and that game does it really well too. Like in between every quest, if you don't just talk to the quest NPCs and talk to like the other characters around it, a lot of times they'll have a lot to say about the situation that's going on and how they react to it. And I think it really helps, especially in games where you have like a silent protagonist, because it kind of adds to it. But it's also cool because it is optional, right? So it's like if you like it, you can engage with it. If you don't have to. And I think that's nice as well, because then you don't have to like deal with the bloat if you don't want to. So I always appreciate it being there, and I enjoyed the conversations so far in this. And even when you had like Maeve and the those sections where you do, even the guest characters will have things to say, which I like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love to see this back. It's one of my, I've said before, it's one of my favorite things in Dragon Quest games is when they do some good party chat. So I was using it constantly. And there was someone else before this that mentioned, like, oh, I think it only tells you like the important stuff when it's queued up. And it'll tell you, like, oh, you need to go to the castle to fight this monster or something like that. But no, there's some flavor dialogue as well. I just brought up
Mhm.
a couple examples on my Switch where, like, when you go into the tower on your Ballymolly, Kiefer will say things like, "Oh, now here's a bold bit of interior design: dark walls, dark floors, and absolutely crawling with monsters." Or you've got Maribel. She says stuff like, "Oh, it must be pretty scary if it's got all these horrible things doing its bidding after you defeat the golem." All sorts of flavor dialogue like that adds to the
She complained
personality.
about the maze-like construction of Eastern Castle at one point. She's like, "Who would design a castle like this? It's a maze."
And there's quite a few times too, like when you go into the past, and then she was like, "Oh, if something happens, you take the damage for me."
But yeah, it was very enjoyable for me. I really liked seeing it back in this game.
Alrighty, so what are our thoughts about all the new difficulties and quality of life settings? Because they surely didn't do Dragon and Draconian Quest here.
No, they had different names for it this time, and they had a lot of nice settings and quality of life features that I really liked. Some of which are, I think, are first in this game that I hadn't seen in other Dragon Quest games. One that I had seen before is, and it makes sense since it's such a long game. They have the story so far feature when you load a save, and it'll give you like a brief
Yeah, more
overview
games
of
need
like
that.
what's happening.
Not even just RPGs.
Yeah, and that's something that they implemented first. At least I think they implemented first in 11, and so
That's where
it's
I
back.
feel like I've seen it first. Yeah.
hmm And that was a longer game too, especially if you do the post game. So that
Oh
made
yeah.
sense that they would have something like that. And then it's also in your menu. You can go and find little story summaries of every little place that you've been to once you get into the game as well. Something that I thought was very odd that I saw for the first time in a Dragon Quest game is that when you got seeds, did you guys notice that, like, when you got seeds, it would show you before you used it, like how much it would give you? Like, for example, if you got like
Wait,
a,
really?
yeah,
Huh.
it
Oh.
like it's like if you got the seed of magic, it would tell you like, oh, your magic points are gonna increase by 3 if you take this seed. And I was like, whoa, that is so weird. All the seeds do that. And so I'm wondering, like, so I'm used to it in Dragon Quest games where like you pick
Interesting.
up a seed, you use it, and then you get a random growth. You get it for like 1 to 5 or something like that.
Hmm.
Now you
And
can min max your seed usage.
right. So I'm thinking so I can't prove it because I don't think you get more than one type of seed in the demo, but I'm thinking that, like, let's say you pick up like 3 seeds that increase your HP. I'm guessing that if you go into the menu, like one of them will say like, oh, this is 1 HP, this is 5 HP, this is 3 HP. And so that they calculate that value like as soon as you pick it up, as opposed to calculating that value when you use it in the previous game. So I thought that was very interesting. Just I'd never seen that before.
That'll need some testing just to, I mean, it would be interesting to see like what people test and find. Like if you like pick up a seed and just like turn the game off and reloaded your save, would it be different? Like is it random or whatnot? Yeah, I'll be
Yeah, I'm
curious to
guessing
see
it
that.
will stay. I think it's something that gets calculated like once you pick up the seed.
Hmm.
So, but well, I won't be able to tell that until I get like 2 or 3 of those seeds all in my
Yeah,
inventory to look at
Right.
that.
better start grinding those monsters.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if they drop.
Another thing that I don't think any of us noticed, or at least Platy and I didn't notice, was there was a mini metal guide, which uh, our fellow guest, a frequent guest Jade pointed out to us that once you pick up the guide from the woman in the castle and you actually go to it, which I'd never bothered to do, I just like, oh, hey, here's the guide, and then I went off and found mini metals as I usually did. If you go into the guide, it will tell you a little hint on where the mini metal is. It's not going to tell you like exactly where it is. It'll be like, for example, I had to restart my game to figure it out, but I you'd get the mini metal guide, you go to Estard Castle, mini metal number 1. It'll be like, it's in Estard Castle. Where in Estard Castle, who knows? But you at least get to tell, it tells you like, oh, it's in this cave, it's in this castle, that kind of thing. So it's an optional thing that you can do if you get frustrated with trying to track down those mini metals. So that was nice. I didn't know that was a thing until Jay pointed it out to us.
That is nice.
Yeah, and it's something that actually annoyed me that I usually use in past Dragon Quest games. I don't know if it's tweaked or I was just pressing the button too quickly or whatnot. But it defaults to the battle remember option. I forget what it's called exactly, where it kind of remembers what you did in your last turn.
Yep.
What I would accidentally do is like I would do Flame Slash with Kiefer, but I wouldn't want to do it like on my second turn. But then as soon as I got to my second turn, I would press A and it would automatically do Flame Slash. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I didn't want to do that. So I turned that off because I kept accidentally like spamming skills and spells I didn't want to in multiple turns in a row. Because I think the way that it worked before is like it would remember where you were in the different menus. Like you go into like your skill menu to select something, and if you had that option on, it would stay where it was instead of having to flip through it again. But I think this is like even more so, but I could be wrong. And then the shop menu. I can't say enough about the shop menu. It's like the most efficient Dragon Quest shop menu ever because you can so easily flick between buy and sell. I don't remember you being able to do that before on previous games. And I really loved how easily it is to jump around and not have to back out and go back in. You just go flick, flick, flick.
Hacking in a particular stat, and then I'm like, okay, I'll dump a bunch of seeds to try to bring him up to snuff with the rest of the party. So like you saying that like it shows you like what stats you're gonna get before you use them. I'm like, what the heck is he talking about?
Yeah, it's totally new.
So that's like really interesting. And I didn't know about the mini medal thing, but for stuff like that, I think that's a fantastic like feature because it I mean it really sucks when you're like playing a game with like a ton of like, find X amount of 100 or 200 items, and then you're like, oh wow, I have like 98. Like I guess I just have to like check every spot now and like look up a guide. So it still kind of like tells you, it like nudges you in the right direction. And I think that's really cool. And then the other thing you said that kind of made me laugh is that I think when I dabbled in the options, I must have just turned off the battle remember thing, and not even realizing what it did because I didn't have any sort of like thing where like I accidentally used like another spell again. So that's kind of funny. Like as I played, I kind of used the auto battle once I realized that like as soon as it stopped showing you the monsters, you could just kind of press start. So like for a lot of the battles, I ended up using that, and then for like the boss fights and new monsters, I would manually do it. But yeah, in terms of like the shops and stuff, there's a lot of, I guess I could just generally talk about the UI. That there's so many like nice UI stuff in this game that I feel like they've never really, like Dragon Quest has always had a traditional menu system, in that like opening up the menu and just being able to like instantly change your equipment and toggle through
Oh,
like
yeah.
from the map to world map to the island map was, I just did that for fun. I was just toggling through the maps. I was just like, oh, this is great.
It's all very efficient.
Yeah, and it shows that like, there are many things that Dragon Quest does well for remaining faithful, and then there are some things it's like, oh wow, yeah, we've come a little bit since like all the menu hopping and everything. In terms of like messing with the difficulty stuff, I just played through the demo on Happy Medium, but I thought some of the stuff was interesting, and looking back based on the difficulty, I might fine tune some of the stuff just because the bosses went down a bit too easy, and maybe the difficulty will help with that. Because I think even for Happy Medium, like the basic normal difficulty would still be pretty forgiving for new players without doing the easy going. But I can imagine like, wanting to cut down on grinding the experience and money and stuff. And proficiency earned, I can imagine being very useful.
Well, in the bosses, at least in the demo, you also have to remember that the Maeve fight is pretty easy unless you do the sad route where you don't give Patrick the bear and he's all sad and the villagers don't come to help. So there's that.
I mean, it's just, you just hit harder.
Well, and plus Hanlon, your little helper, he doesn't do the great skills that he normally does. Like I remembered because I did it twice. The first time I did it, he was doing like undead undoer or whatever that's called, and doing good damage. And then when I did the sad way, he wasn't doing any of that. He was doing just mostly basic attacks. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, but because
You
I
know?
mean, like Maeve hit like my hero for like 1 damage, and I was like,
I don't remember if she hit harder. I can't tell you that.
I was like, dang, they nerfed this fight.
But yeah, it's super easy mode if you go, if Patrick is is all trying to recruit everybody and the townspeople get involved. But if they're not, then it becomes a much harder fight.
Okay, because I was like, dang. It's like, Maeve, what happened to you? I thought I like Snorri-wise that she was like, oh, she doesn't want to fight back because I was like, 1 damage, come on.
Yeah, it becomes a plot thing basically. She's basically trying to lose, and she almost says as much in the
Yeah,
dialogue.
I just didn't. I just wasn't sure how much of that was the game's story or if it was underpowered.
She gets enraged if the townspeople don't come to help you out, and it's a much harder fight. And the way everything goes down in terms of her sacrificing herself is much different.
No, that's cool. I mean, that adds to the replayability, which is kind of a weird thing to say for 7, but
We need more.
What about you, Twinkie? I saw you had some good info on the difficulty options for what you liked.
Well, to kind of go off the Maeve talk, I actually learned about this like 2 weeks ago, but I'm not sure if this applies to the PS1 version, but on the 3DS version, if you have that doll and you use it on her during the fight, you pretty much auto win the
What?
fight.
Yeah, I read that. There's like the way that scenario can go in terms of making the fight easier is different between the versions. Like this is different. Like you said, it's different how you could do it in the 3DS.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that because I only learned about that a couple weeks ago, and then they changed it up, and I'm like, you know what, that's a pretty good change.
That's kind of cool.
I actually thought the whole like doll decision thing was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm so used to like Dragon Quest games having like a fake yes or no thing, right? And so hearing that those are even options kind of makes me excited for like what other stuff might potentially happen because 7's full of like, kind of like stories that could go a few different ways, even if they have the same outcome.
Mhm.
I also kind of experimented when you leave the island, when you talk to that boy in front of the grave, you have the option to give him to accept he offers to give you the doll. And I experimented with this and you accept it and you just take it. And there's probably some use for it down the road, we're not sure yet. But if you decline it, kind of a small spoiler, he actually gives you a seed of resilience instead.
Oh, I didn't
So-
experiment with that. That's
Yeah.
cool to know.
Huh. Yeah, that is cool.
Yep.
Makes me wonder like what other use because I noticed it in my inventory too near the end and I was like, I wonder what I can use it for.
And that makes sense. It's like that's like basically the right thing to do. Is like, oh, I can't accept this. This means so much to you. You need to keep it. And then they reward you.
No, it's
Yeah,
mine. Give it, boy.
But anyways, kind of getting back on track with the quality of life stuff. Not much for me to say that hasn't been covered already, but I will give praise for the shop menu. I really like it. Feels really snappy and responsive, and you don't spend too much time in that menu, which makes me happy. For the most part, I think most of the quality of life improvements are really nice. But for me personally, the crowning jewel of this remake that I was surprised when I first booted this game up was the difficulty options. Because if you know me, I love difficult Dragon Quest challenges. And so having these options to be able to customize my experience is just, I wish every RPG going forward would do this. I'm not joking. It's mind boggling how cool this is. So one of my complaints with, it's not a lot of RPGs. Some of them handle it well. But one of my complaints with a lot of RPGs these days is that I am not a fan of restoring HP after a level up
Oh,
and stuff
yeah,
like that.
I wish there was an option to turn that off.
Yeah. So having the restore like HP after battle things nice, because it kind of adds like a little balance to people who want that kind of experience. And at the same time, it's like, you can like adjust the gold. I just love it. I'm
It'd be
obsessed.
funny if you could like completely reverse it, just like after battle, you just take damage.
Right. But yeah, I think for me, the one thing that's really the big hook is just the customizable difficulty.
Depending on like how smooth the game is, and in terms of like the beating the game, right? Like because we all know some form of how 7 was before, and the different options in terms of how you can tackle like some of the different storylines in the game, add in like the nice variety of options will now make Dragon Quest 7 like, a game that you'll want to replay.
Yeah, and there seems to be just a like a natural progression that they've done with these Dragon Quest games when it comes to difficulty options. Dragon Quest 11, it was like, hey, here's some draconian options you can do if you want. Then Dragon Quest 3 is like, hey, now you can do easy, medium, hard. And then Dragon Quest 1 and 2 was like, oh, hey, now you can do easy, medium, hard, and then you can go in and you can actually change some things individually and make it more what you want to do specifically. And now it seems to be even more so, even more customizable with this one with 7. So it's nice that they keep doing that.
Yeah, that's actually a big praise I had with 11 actually. I replayed that game 4 times, and I replayed it 4 times because of the draconian
Nice.
settings. And I don't know if I'll replay this often, but I feel the difficulty options here is a much better way to handle it than the draconian in 11.
No, I agree.
Oh, Twinkie, you don't even want to hear what I just saw on the Final Fantasy VII remake. That like the version that's coming to the Xbox and Switch. Do you know what they're doing for that?
No.
They're adding like like this new easy mode where like you literally just do 9999 from the start.
Oh jeez.
I guess it's for people who've already
Yeah,
played
not
it,
for
but
me. I like my
yeah,
challenge.
just made me
But
laugh.
I'm glad it's there for those who want it, but it's not for me.
Just you talking about it made me think about it. I was like, oh man.
I'll be honest, I got nothing to add. You guys have covered everything. Twinkie, literally, I think the line Twinkie was, I hope these aren't just there in future Dragon Quest titles, but like every freaking game going forward. I mean, I remember back to, was it Bravely Default 2 that you could just turn off enemy counters and crank them up to certain ones? Like I had a blast with that. Like I don't want to deal with enemies right now. And then there were places that had some good stuff that had, I mean, it wasn't like metal slimes or anything, but they had a decent amount of experience. And I'm like, hey, man, let's crank it up for the next 30 minutes. Let me bang out a lot of these high XP battles and then crank it down for some exploring afterwards.
And I think it's like a fantastic idea, right? Because I think all of us have done through some sort of self-imposed challenge, right? Like either, like 3 heart runs, like playing Zelda games or stuff like that, or trying to, like play games at the lowest possible level. And so like I think like what Platy said with like Bravely Default, you could turn off like experience. Like you just wouldn't gain experience. I think one of the options. And I was like, man, I wouldn't do that, but it's cool for people who want to.
Yeah, and like y'all keep saying, replayability with all this is
Yeah.
that's cool. You really love it. You want to do something and experience something new, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely for the HD 2D remakes, that has inspired me to play them multiple times just to look at the different difficulty settings. Because I usually like to play through a game first on normal, and then if I like it, then I'll replay it on the more difficult settings. So it's fun to be able to do that. And usually then I'll
Right.
switch other stuff up. Like I'll go from American English voice acting to Japanese voice acting, so I can check out both of those tracks and things like that. So that's fun.
And it's cool too if like, like maybe on a first run you're like, oh man, y'all try to do everything there is. And then maybe, like we know some of the other people that do like speed runs and stuff of the games that they'd be like, okay, well, on the second run they'd be like, all right, well, let's try to see how fast I can beat it and stuff like that and mess with some of the options there. I remember talking to someone about Bravely Default about like how like, oh, why would you turn off like the random encounters? And I was like, well, what if you just don't want to fight anything and it just goes straight to the boss? I mean, you'd be under leveled if you're not getting any experience. So it's still like a way to challenge yourself. It's just the option there kind of allows you to tweak it in different ways.
Definitely. So, what do we think about the job and monster not taming system or monster hearts? And Roto, we'll start with you.
Good, because I didn't know that there weren't like monster stuff in this game. I thought it was amusing because my first experience with the Monster Heart thing was right when I got to the Ballymaloy.
Yep.
I fought the Hammerhead guy like the first thing I did, and it was super hard.
Oh, I did the same thing. I'll have a
I
story
mean,
about that
like I
later.
was
Yeah.
literally like Maribel was like level 1, or no, she was level 2 from the slime fight. But like, so I mean, like all the characters had like 6 MP total, and I was just like, I don't think I was gonna survive this. And like with Maeve in the party, like I was able to survive, but Maribel was the only survivor at the end. And then I got the heart at the, and so like I got that done, and I was like, I don't think I'm fighting that guy again. And I was waiting to fight another one but I think that's the only one that you fight like in the demo,
Yeah.
right?
They tell you like once you defeat it the first time, they never appear again. At least not that particular one.
And
'Cause you get the
so
monster
I just
heart.
thought that was really interesting because I was like the hardest fight for in the entire demo for me was just that first guy fighting him at the beginning. But the hearts were interesting because they're accessories, and It feels like it's kind of vague. I don't know if there was a way that I didn't know to see like what they did in more
Oh, it's purposely
detail.
vague. Yeah.
Okay.
They give you
So
hints that like this will probably make you dodge pretty well, and something like
yeah.
that.
So
Ah.
I'm interested in seeing like what kind of effects they'll kind of do if there's a lot of them, because like the other one was like you like what was the goal? Like you're stronger but weaker, right? Like defensive wise, I think.
I can't
Or
remember which does
or
which.
that was the hammer hood.
There's one for critical hits. There's one that we discussed right before this, and I forget what the rest do. But yeah, they all have
Yeah.
different.
So I'll be curious if they don't double up or do the same thing but a little bit better, what kind of abilities they'll have. And that might be interesting. And I still don't really understand how the job system's going to really work out in the game, other than like the starting jobs that everyone gets. Because I feel like I heard something about like you'll be able to have like a sub job. Did I hear that
Yep.
right?
Dual job
Okay.
system or something like that. But of course, we haven't been able to do any of that yet.
Right. So I'm still curious how it's going to work, because if there like ends up being some really cool Monster Hearts stuff and you can get some cool synergies with that and the job combinations, that might be pretty cool. I mean, I always enjoy when they do stuff with the monsters, but if they are like choosing to like really focus on these systems, yeah, I'm curious how they'll do it. But so far, it's pretty simple what they had. But I did like the specific skills that the characters were getting, like given like the hero, like the Aqua Slash and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I am not a huge fan of these Monster Hearts because I actually just pulled it up. The Golem, all it does, it lets you survive a blow with 1 hit point. If you normally die, that's it. It says it right
Oh,
there.
that
That
was it.
is,
Yeah, it's like
yep.
it will because it's vague. It vaguely describes it as like you'll be harder to kill or something like that.
Oh well, no, it says it in the menu. Special effects allows the bearer to survive a killing blow with 1 HP remaining.
Oh,
So
see.
there may be a vague one somewhere, but if you go to the menu, it tells you exactly what happens.
Okay,
Oh, then
interesting.
I'm looking in the
The
wrong spot. Then that's funny.
yep,
now,
the
now, now I'm the one that's doing menus wrong.
the Hammerhood heart increases your critical chance by 10%. That's it.
Oh, it does give you
Because
numbers. Okay,
oh yeah,
I just
if
saw
you
the vague
click on them
descriptions.
and hit the letter Y, examine in the like if you're looking at your character and you hit
Oh, I
Y,
didn't do that.
you will see it
Okay,
shows you their effect on hit points, MP. Basically, it brings up all your
Cool.
stats and shows you the difference. So
Nice.
critical chance was 10%. That's it. Now, I don't know if these are now going to be the only accessories, because I mean, as we know, Dragon Quest has always had a lot of accessories, but it tells you there are 74 total accessories in the game, and these are the 2 I have at this point. So it says I've got 2 out of 74, and it's those Monster Hearts.
I
So
think I did find an accessory. It was like a bow
Yeah,
tie that increased your
there's a bow
charm.
tie. Yep.
oh, okay.
Yep.
So there
So
you
there'll be
go.
the
There's a maximum of 73 Monster Hearts and a bow tie, and that's it.
Interesting.
So
Hmm.
obviously, we're probably going to have way less than 70 Monster Hearts. I don't
Yeah.
know. This seems like stuff. This was in treasures. This is how you could equip a lot of them in treasures. I think up to like 6 or 7 as you got farther in these Monster Heart metal things. So it's all right. We've effectively cut 2/3 of all jobs in the game, right? Cutting all these monster classes. So goodbye 2/3 of that. Now, I guess that wouldn't be a huge thing, but what you said, Roto, about being able to double class, that sounds like so awesome. And I bet it's the reason the monster like I bet it kind of goes together with the monster stuff, because I think what was the original game? If you did halfway through Dancer and then switched to Warrior, you got Sword Dance or something like that. That was the big one. It was really cool early on in the game. You got those
Mm,
combo skills. So I
right.
wonder if something like that, there's going to be combo skills for all those. And then I wonder if, having all those monster ones, holy crap, suddenly if you've got 20 jobs already, 20 jobs, and I don't think they're going to have 20, but even if you had 20, 20 times 19, you're in the hundreds of possible combinations. You make 40, 50, 60 monster classes, and suddenly you multiply that into the thousands. So I
Yeah.
wonder if that's part of the combination stuff. We have no
Potentially, I mean,
idea.
they could do some cool things because now that as you were talking about it, I was thinking about, are the other characters you get going to come with like their own original class, and are all the characters' original classes going to be like usable by the other cast? So they like potentially have some cool things that they could do that we don't know about yet. But
oh yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff ahead.
it's going to be interesting too. Like, and they could incorporate some of like the monster skills stuff into the like existing jobs, or not.
put them on the monster hearts for all we know.
Yeah,
Have
treat
a
them
good
like
one with
almost
that.
the seals from
Yeah,
One and
from
two.
that's true. 1 and 2. Now I got halfway through my job progression for the initial classes just playing the demo, so I really hope I don't have to wait 20 hours to get to all trades. Hoping that gets. I really hope they get sped up in this game.
It's
So
just like the next island.
I know. I feel like it's gotta be. Although I got what is it, red ones. So I feel like we're going to. It was Engo in the Engro or whatever in the PS1 version. I don't know if it got renamed in the. Basically, the volcano island. I feel has got to be next. Then I think all trades got to come up sooner. There's no way we're gonna say a maxed out initial class for 20+ hours. Like,
Yeah.
there's my prediction. It can't happen. What do you think,
What's
Twinkie?
Ruff's class gonna have?
Yeah, so with the job system, as you guys kind of touched up, it's kind of a little too early. I kind of like the idea that they kind of have their own default job to kind of add a little extra flair with the what's that mechanic that you can do with it? The abilities you can
loose?
get. I forgot what
Oh
it's
yeah, the
called.
let loose.
Let loose, that's what it is. And I think that adds a little nice flair. But one of my the one of my biggest complaints with the original, with the 3DS and the PS1 is, yeah, all trades takes forever to get to. And I'm hoping they rectify that with the remake. Hopefully we get a little earlier, maybe not too far out. It would be really nice to change classes and kind of start experimenting earlier on, especially considering this is a shorter game too, supposedly. So having access to that stuff to experiment earlier rather than later, because I don't want to experiment with like a couple job class combinations and be done with the game or whatever. But
Yep.
but who knows? So yeah, that's actually one aspect of the game that I'm kind of interested in how they're going to handle going forward. As with the monster taming changes and stuff like that, I'm going to be honest. I was never like a fan of monster taming in 5 or 7 or anything like that, so I'm kind of indifferent about it. I think the new like medals that you get are kind of nice, but I think you can only get what 3 of them. I think in the
I think
demo.
so.
So I'm kind of hoping that they add more into it to kind of combo off with different classes and stuff like that. And you can also, I'm always like a huge fan of more choice making when it comes to RPGs. So having to balance other accessories that give you flat out stat bonuses with these, I feel like could be really good, you know, something to think about. But yeah, for the most part, I'm kind of indifferent about the whole situation, really.
Speaking of all trades, I remembered my first playthrough of Dragon Quest VII 3DS, and I was worried about level caps because I knew about level caps in these Dragon Quest games. You had to worry about. So I tried to dodge a lot of different enemies as I was going through before hitting all trades, so I could be kind of lower leveled before I started getting job classes, so I wouldn't have to worry about uh, level caps as much. But of course, then we find out later in that game, oh, there's the bonus areas that don't have level caps, so it doesn't even matter. So
That's right. I remember
I'm
those level caps, like for raising the job stuff. That was like made
yes,
it very difficult. Yeah.
yeah. 6 had that, 7 had that. Most of the Dragon Quest games with I forget if 9 had that, but I just see some. I don't know if this game. I wonder how they're going to handle level caps in this game, or if they're even going to bother to have them. Because I see some people play the demos like, oh yeah, I maxed out my characters to level 15. I'm like, oh no, don't do that, dude. You're gonna make it harder for yourself with the level caps later on or whatever. But
I remember seeing a post in Questers of like people like, "Hey, has anyone tried to max level from the demo?" And I'm like, "Yo, simmer down now."
Yeah, whoop-de-doo. Well, I feel like there's not going to be a level cap because you're always going to earn those progression points, right?
I don't know, because that's how that worked in the previous versions. Was like once if you over
Oh, I
leveled, then you would not get progression or job points.
true. Well, have we ever gotten job points before?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you level up
In what?
your character's level, and then you level up your character's job. They're like two different. They've always been like two different systems, and that's why they would put in level caps so that someone
Well,
can't just like
wait.
take
In
every
what
single
game?
job.
Like, I'm trying to think. Like,
6 and 7.
I know eight had like skill points or the job
Was it 8
stuff
had
too,
skill
right?
points, but no,
Oh no no
6
no
and
no
6
no
and
no eight
No,
didn't.
6,
Yeah.
the job game. So 6 and 7, they both had those.
6 and 7 were number of battles though. They weren't
Yeah,
job
yeah.
points.
That's true. They were a number of battles, but there still was a level cap. Like you could only go
Yeah,
so
that's
if you're too
correct. Yeah,
over
okay.
leveled, you wouldn't get
You're
those.
right. I
You
could
wouldn't
see
get
that.
those number. It would stop that like number of battles. Like you would just stall out at like 20 battles, and you wouldn't go to 21 if you were like level 50,
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
where the
Got it.
level cap
Yeah.
was like level 40, that kind of thing.
Okay, I see what you mean. I was fixated on the whole thing. I'm like, wait a minute, there's not been JP before.
No, I
So
had the terms wrong, but
you're correcting. Yes.
yeah, the and then going back to the Monster Hearts, I love the Monster Hearts. I like how it gives you like the different you have the ways that different ways you can get them and the different abilities that it can give you. I liked putting the one that gave you better dodge and Maribel and the better critical hits on Kiefer, things of that nature. I wish there was like not two. I wish there was 3 accessory slots instead of 2 accessory slots. I think with all the different Monster Hearts and normal accessories that we're gonna get, it's gonna be like a wealth of riches where you can't decide which one you want to do, and it doesn't do enough. But I don't know. We'll see how that as we go. But I am interested to see how this dual job system works because it's going to be a different way of handling jobs in this game as opposed to the previous 2 versions. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. And like everyone else said, yeah, I hope All Trades does not take 20 hours to get as it did previously.
All right. Well, moving right along. What about the whole battle system in general? What do you think about how the battles play out, Twinkie?
Yeah, so I ended up playing on the highest difficulty setting, the default setting, and I was when we get into that first fight, I was pleasantly surprised on how much of a pushback that fight was. I'm like, wow, this is the first fight, and I actually have to like kind of stay on my toes and use herbs and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are not a fan of like some of those fights being like longer as a result, but I thought it was a pleasant, nice thing, kind of going from the difficulty. And I think the one highlight of the battle system that I really enjoyed outside of difficulty is the let loose abilities because you can keep them, I think, for 2 or 3 turns. I don't know how many, but you can kind of keep them for 2 or 3 turns without activating them right away. So it adds like a little nice element of strategy. And I wasn't like a fan of how it was handled on the PEP system or whatever it's called in 11 because you're like, oh, well, I got to wait for my other party members to get them or whatever. And I wasn't a fan of that. But now it's given me the agency to use like a solo ability. I'm kind of hoping it stays that way. Yeah, I really like it.
Essentially, I feel like echo a lot of Twinkie's sentiments on the battle system. I also like the let loose ability, and like I noticed that when you looked in like in your abilities, it said let loose abilities. So I'm assuming we're gonna get more for like all the characters and stuff. So it might be interesting to see like if those are job related or character related, like after X amount of levels, maybe characters or maybe even unlocked like from the story. Maybe after progression, like a character will get like a new ability to use. Otherwise, I mean, it flowed really well. Like I know we all have certain expectations for like the battle systems in a Dragon Quest game, but I feel like it did a pretty good job. And I'll save the next. Well, Penny will share this as well, I'm sure. But it was nice that they show you like too like what's effective for like when you're using spells and stuff. Because I know like the classic Dragon Quest is you kind of just use what's just all the spells and kind of hope that one does more bigger number. Ooh, but yeah, it's I enjoyed it. It felt good.
Yeah, building on what you were saying, I loved the new feature for this game where you get to see the weakness and the strength for not just elemental attacks, but also for a status change attacks or
Mm-hmm.
abilities. So if you wanted to see, oh, if I cast Dazzle, is this going to work? It will tell you like, oh, has like a normal chance of working. This has a high chance of working. This has a crappy chance of working. I absolutely love that in this game because I sometimes, especially these days, where like time is a premium, like I don't want to just sit there and experiment battle after battle, be like, does this work? No. Does this work? Yes. Does this work? No. It tells me right away, like, hey, this is going to be effective. This is not going to be effective, and I love that. It's great. Really like that in this game.
It's interesting because like that's like a fine line too for RPGs to walk. I feel because it goes from where a lot of times you're playing a lot of guesswork to kind of figure out the weaknesses and stuff.
Hmm.
And like the Shin Megami Tensei series, I feel like does it really well in terms of like how where it's like unknown for the first hit, and then as you kind of like fill out your bestiary, then it kind of shows you in battle. So it's nice to see that reflected here because yeah, like how often in games do you like really experiment when you kind of just default to your strongest stuff, but now you can actually like try to see like, oh, okay, now I actually have kind of like more information, and it kind of allows more tactical play.
Yeah, and tying that into the let loose abilities, like Maribel's let loose ability is to make monsters more vulnerable to elemental attacks. So it's nice that you can see the effect. So you can see like, oh, well, these guys were just kind of when it came to like their vulnerability to crack, but now that she's gone let loose, now you can see that now they're like much more vulnerable to crack and things like that. So I really like that as well. And let loose abilities are fun, as people have talked about before. You've got the like your hero has the invincibility, Maribel, which I just talked about, and then Kiefer has the one where like his offense goes higher, but his defense goes lower, which is like a classic Dragon Quest ability, just in general that you can get. I forget what it's called, but I loved how you could also save them. So like if you had one activate and you didn't use it in a battle, you could win the battle and then run around and you'd still have it for the next battle. So I like that as well. So you didn't have to use it once it came up in battle. You weren't in an opportune time to use it, you didn't want to waste like your invincible thing with the pro tag, then you could just save it for the next battle, which was great. And that would, I was doing some experimenting after I'd already completed the demo, and I was doing the AI control, and that was one critique I had of the AI is that they would, as soon as they got a let loose ability, it's like, oh, we're doing it. It could be like one enemy left, and he's like half dead, and it's like, oh, the pro tag just like, oh, let's be invincible. It's like, no, that's useless. Don't do that. Other than that, I also liked there's little things in this game too, which I'd never seen before. Like they have monsters attacking in unison, where you have like 2 to 3 monsters will attack a person all at the same time. I don't know if it has any kind of special effect to it, but it was just fun to see. Like they had different attacks where like 2 enemies would attack 2 different people at the same time, or they'd have the in unison attack. It kind of it made the battle, it gave a little more variety to battle. So I appreciated that. What about you, Platty?
I love what you were talking about. I love just give me all the info. I want to know what's it's gonna do. Should I even bother with it? Should I take a turn to cast Dazzle or whatever? Like I feel like in a lot of games I never even use those kind of spells because I'm like, half the time it's not gonna work. Most of the time it's not gonna work. I don't even know if it's gonna be possible. So why would I not just take the shot? What were we? People have been talking a lot about the Pokemon Z to A game, about how with real time actions in that game, people for the first time ever are using like build up defense and whatever. Because heck, when I play a Pokemon game, I'm just all out wailing. Let me get that type mess match and hit it.
Yeah.
I'm not raising my attack. I'm not raising my defense. Like this is like one and done kind of bam bam bam. But with a real time game, hey, actually keeping one of those spells around kind of helps because a lot of it's not one shot stuff. I like that here too. Like, I've got some more information that I can use to if I want to try to cast sleep. I never cast sleep in a Dragon Quest game. I probably cast sleep in fewer times than I've used party chat in my life. So,
Be nice to see what thwack will be useful on.
oh god,
Ooh, that's a
whack!
good
I've
point.
cast that fewer times in my life than I've cast sleep. So,
Me too.
give me the control at the instant that it's attack time. I like that. I mean, we've been doing this with Dragon Quest 11. Obviously the 1, 2, 3 remakes went back to the classic, but I liked in 11. Hey, it's my turn. Let me pick my attack and do it now. So I don't have to set AI to do the healing mid round or whatever. I've got that ability to do it. Also, I love seeing the weapons and armor. I like seeing what they're holding.
Oh,
Those are fun.
Yeah.
It's not complete dress up like Dragon Quest 9. I get that, but it's all right. Weapons and armor are good. That's a good, nice start. Or not the weapons and armor. Sorry, the weapons and the shields. The weapons and the shields are what you can see.
Who doesn't love a good shield?
Yeah.
So what do we think of the characters so far for the 2 that we got along with our protagonist? And Roto, we'll start with you.
I think they're pretty on point. I feel like with what they've done, especially with like the voice acting and stuff's been pretty good. Like it's nice to have a voice with Kiefer and hearing all of his bravado match that
Mm.
chin of his. Um, and Maribel sounds exactly as whiny as we all would read. And that's like the fun, right? To seeing how the characters, especially the starting characters, go from their like more naivete to the changes that happens in, well, I presume, new changes that we'll see that wasn't in the original that will be even better with voice acting. So um I think they're doing a great job, and with like the other characters that they've showed so far. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how they like flesh out the existing party members we have yet to see.
What about you, Twinkie?
Kind of going from a visual standpoint, as I said earlier, that I was kind of skeptical with the art style going in, but as soon as I saw, with the diorama effect and Kiefer's amazing jaw, I was like, okay, I'm sold. And I had a little smile when I noticed that Maribel still had her little weird Naruto run that they brought over from the 3DS
Hell yeah.
version. I'm like, okay. And yeah, my character impressions for the most part are pretty good. As Roto mentioned, Maribel sounds exactly how I imagine her and all that. And one kind of thing that I wasn't really expecting is with Kiefer, because maybe this is strange, but with him having voice acting with his character having voice and being the voice of the party, right? Since the protagonist doesn't really talk, it kind of gave me more of a appreciation for him as a character as a whole because of the voice acting.
Gotcha. And make sure to give him all your seeds, because nothing bad could come of that.
It's going to be interesting to see like how the dynamic goes after different points in the story, for sure.
What do you think, Platty? The characters.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I feel like I haven't got enough of them yet. They're great. They're fine. They remind me of the way I always remember them. Maribel's annoying. Keeper's pretty adventurous. I do like the voice acting. I'm a fan of that. I don't know. Maybe it never used to bother me in other games, but I feel like I've played a lot.
Deadly.
I've played a lot of different. I've been getting into the Atelier series, and I've been playing like a classic Atelier that has voice acting, and then like a new one. I spent like 200 hours last year on the Ryza games,
Oh dang.
and like there was no voice acting, and I'm like, it's just like this is such a modern game and so good, and the graphics are pretty good, and like I love crafting, but like there's no voice acting. Like it really, really affects like the dramaticness of it, and going back to a game like Dragon Quest VII and where it hadn't and now it does, I'm like, ooh, this is nice. I am correct in saying I wish I had more. Like I'm getting the direct comparison now, especially with like, hey, 1, 2, and 3 edit as well.
Right.
Obviously, there's a lot more here than there, but good voice acting, good. More voice acting, please. So, and I wait to see how it changes or how I'm looking forward to their speaking and their emotions and their voice going forward. That's I think what it's promising, very promising.
Curious to get to the robot island.
Ooh, I've been watching Amazon put on a 10-part documentary about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers through 50 years, and holy cow, they went out and got an Emmy-winning director for it, and holy effing a like I all these like I remember all 40 of the first 50 years here from being a little kid onward, and I'm tearing up at least once per episode. I'm like, why? This is just sports. Like, what? How are they doing this? How are they putting the emotion in here? Just with some of these clips and what some of the players remember and the way they say it, and I'm like, oh no, they're crying. I'm crying. It's just football. But we'll see if I tear up a little bit at one of those situations. What do you think, Pendy?
So with the characters for me, I mean, first when it comes to Kiefer, all I gotta say is Matt Damon, because people keep making that comparison of him being Matt Damon from Team America World Police. But I think he looks fine. I agree with Twinkie that I loved that they brought back Maribel's iconic Naruto run. That was great to see. And I can't wait to use the DLC costume to change the look of Hobo Link right away.
Oh, please. Yes.
Especially since we don't get the costume changes from doing different jobs like we did in the 3DS version. But I'm guessing that there'll be lots of optional costumes like we've seen from the DLC. We get a free costume from just doing this demo. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of different combinations that we can do. So looking forward to that. I gotta say, I am one of those, and I think Platy, you're the same when it comes to this. I'm one of those Maribel haters when it comes to her character
Uh-huh.
because she's
Uh-huh.
little bit of a jerk, and it just gets annoying fast after, especially in such a long game. I know she softens up, but it will be interesting because like I'm used to in the first game and the remake where you get to a certain point in the game and you can throw one of the people into Maribel's house. And usually I just throw Maribel in there. It's like, okay, I'm not going to see you the rest of the game. Bye-bye.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I noticed from the previews that I've watched for this game, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think all the party members stay with you the entire time throughout the game because I saw an advanced preview where you saw more than 4 characters all running around together. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, okay. So I guess now I can't ditch Maribel anymore. So I'll get the full breadth of her personality this time. So maybe I'll have a change of heart. Maybe I'll see this softening of her character that people always like to talk about who really love her character. So we'll see.
Oh, no, that's too much reimagining. Too much reimagining. I can't reimagine that hard. We can cut, we can't add.
Oh, dang.
Oh, all right. God, that hobo link look. I just can't with that.
I just want to note onto it because I was looking it up as the rest of you guys were speaking on the characters and stuff because I was kind of curious about the voice cast, right? And for majority of the cast, it looks like they're newer, at least in terms of doing like voiceover roles and stuff. But the voice of Sir Mervyn, I was like, I've seen some of the stuff that he's been in. Like he was recently did some characters in like the new Final Fantasy Tactics
Oh,
port where they added like voice acting and stuff, but he voices like a prominent character in a few other games, including Final Fantasy 14. So that'll be cool to see like him in the scenes because that's definitely gonna be a fitting tone. So cool.
nice.
All right. Do we have any impressive moments that we like kind of were like, whoa, that was cool so far? In just a few hours here, Twinkie?
So my impressive moment that really stuck up, it's not story related or anything like that, but it's with combat. Because we talked about the other day on like the strategy of when you first get Maeve, you fight the Hammerhood right away. And I made the mistake of going to the town. I didn't think about that. And so I fought the Hammerhood several times and I was like, I'm just gonna wait until after I get through the tower and on my way back I'll fight it. And so I eventually did. And it was a very tough fight, but I had to laugh super hard because I ended up getting the main character left alive, and every time the Hammerhood attacked, it would miss. But after it missed, his let loose ability would pop up. So I'd pop up the let loose ability up, and I would attack him. And then he hits me directly with it, and it didn't do anything because I let loose. And then he misses the next attack, and then the next time I get let loose again, and I don't know like how the RNG works in this game, obviously, but the RNG gods have to have smiled upon me because I chipped away at his health, doing that method. I managed to down him. I wish I was recording it, but I it was just great. It's kind of what really sold me on the let loose system as a whole too.
Nice. What did you get impressed by, Roto?
I kind of touched on this earlier, but really the UI sold me.
That's very nice.
I mean, after just with it being so clean and being able to go through all the menus and stuff quick is such a nice, like refreshing change of pace for a Dragon Quest game, especially that it's like playing a game that like always ran at like 30 FPS or something, and then like finally experiencing it in 60 FPS, you're like, oh my gosh, I can see. Is like the equivalent of, like I said, like when I was first messing with the menus and stuff, I was literally just like having fun toggling through the 3 map levels, and I just think they did a good job of like keeping the core things that you need to go through that you always go through with the Dragon Quest game, but just finally brought up to like modern standards. That was like the big thing that jumped out to me as I played.
I gotta say, for me, there was a few things, and one of the things that grossed me out that I know was not just in this version; it's been in other versions too. But when the protagonist's dad is talking about having an anchovy cordial, And I'm like, oh, if you don't know, cordial is liquor. So he's having like an
Everyone has to have
anchovy
one to celebrate the launch of the game.
alcoholic drink, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't even imagine trying to get that down. Oh,
We got to find a local place that serves it.
yeah.
I'm gonna go to Google right now.
I could see them doing that in Japan. Japan is crazy enough that they could. I
Yeah,
could see them doing a pop-up cafe for Dragon Quest VII because they've done it for other Dragon Quest games in the past, and then having that as a menu option. I could see them being crazy enough to do that because they have like,
Pendy.
yeah,
Anchovy cordial is a traditional Italian amber liquid made from fermented
What?
anchovies and salt.
it
Yep.
actually
And
exists.
you can buy it. Yep. What is it?
I had no idea.
Cola
Thought they made it up
Tura
for the game.
di Alici. I'm sure that's just cordial de fish or something like that. Oh yeah, you
Huh.
can buy it. Look at that, $28.75 for that 100 milliliter bottle. That is
Well,
a
all right.
lot of
We got to celebrate
money
for
for that
the
sucker.
launch of the game.
Oh,
Oh, got
and,
us.
oh,
We'll have to do that now.
A-
No.
Yeah,
AKA
make it a
anchovy
podcast
juice.
special.
Oh, that's it. No.
You bring it back for
I'm
every
not going to be on
anniversary
that
of the
episode.
game.
Oh, geez. The other thing I thought was really impressive, and this again is not necessarily different from the other versions because I know they do it in the previous versions too. But I like the different Bally Molly changes that you will have depending on whether or not you give Patrick the Bear that we already touched upon before. Just like how the tower will change its name. Different people in the past and the present will have different dialogue options depending on how you do the story, and just how the whole Maeve thing goes down in general as a boss is very interesting. I guess everyone had their own different story about battling the vicious Hammerhood early on. I did the same thing that Roto did, and like as soon as I saw it on the map, I'm like, oh, going right there. I'm gonna screw it. I don't care if I'm gonna die. I'm gonna battle it. And so it's interesting hearing Twinkie's story because with mine, I was on normal difficulty and I was getting my butt kicked and people were dying. But then I had one person left, and Maeve started doing Kazing. So I'm wondering if she
Right.
doesn't do that on the highest difficulty level, and maybe she just does that on normal and on down. But she kept doing Kazing on my characters, and that's how I won it. It was because she kept reviving my people. So that was interesting to hear about. But that was a fun fight. So I like with you, Roto. Like I was like level 2, level 3, and like were it not for Maeve, I definitely would have died.
Yeah, and now that just thinking about it, like now I'm like kind of excited to fight more of those like enemies. Like what kind of
Oh, yeah.
stuff will that be like depending on the party setup and everything like with no Maeve to save you.
Yeah, it'll be fun little challenges
Maeve can't
throughout the
save
game.
you
So I
now.
appreciate it.
Deadly.
She does use Kazing on the highest difficulty, by the way. She did
Oh,
she
use it on
does.
me once,
Okay,
so,
cool.
yeah.
Good to know. I'm glad she helps you out no matter what. And then my favorite thing in this game, which you couldn't do previously, at least in the different versions of 7, was you can pet the dogs and the cats. So, based on that alone, best Dragon Quest game ever.
All right, I may be totally mistaken here, or it might have been the way the graphic was, but I swear at one point when you were bending down and it was in Valley Molly, at one point, like the dog would like went up and like licked his face or something like that. Like I don't think I was quite lined up right, but
Cute.
it did look like it was like, oh, that was even cooler than the petting.
I believe
Oh.
that happened.
I think the most impressive thing I saw, and I play a lot of JRPGs, and holy crap, even the most modern of modern ones, everything's mimed. Like, oh, here, I need a drink, and you see them like reach out.
Oh
But they
yeah.
didn't want to make the drink graphic, so they just reach out, and the other person like moves it, and it's all pantomiming and all this kind of stuff. I swear, like 99% of JRPGs do that. The fish sandwich was in his hand. Hobo Link handed Dad the fish sandwich, and then it like was in his hand, and he like picked it up and moved it. Like I was like, oh my gosh, they're not miming it. They actually have
Technology.
items.
Oh.
I know. Like even if it doesn't have to turn, it doesn't have to like disappear halfway as he eats it. I just want to see something like
The future
here,
is
have a
now.
sword. I know, like put the sword graphic if he hands him a sword, like even if it's just an icon, by golly, that would be awesome. So
It's the little
that
things.
was my most impressive thing. I'm easily impressed.
So we're down to the last question. What was everyone's overall impressions of the demo? And Roto, will start with you.
Well, I know some of the people I talked to, like on the Questers group, probably hear me say this, but like when Dragon Quest VII, when this version of 7 was announced, I was like, really? Already? Like, I feel like we just played 7, right? Now, granted, I know it was like quite a few years now because it was on the 3DS and time is an illusion, but like, it's still fairly fresh in my memory. And so I wasn't, I mean, like, I wasn't excited for it. There's no other way to put it. I knew I wanted to play the demo, and like I enjoy the world of 7, and like even when I hear like a port and remaster is coming of like something that I had played, usually I'm more interested in like the newer content. And when they talked about how like, oh yeah, there's new like story beats and stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of interested. But like I didn't know if I was ready to like really commit to playing through 7 again, especially knowing like how big, even like with the 3DS version, it for a Dragon Quest game, it's one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest, essentially. And after playing through the demo, I was converted. I was like, I I get why they're calling it Reimagined. I see their vision, and I'm on board. I thought it played really well. It felt really well, and I really, with me and especially like because of how busy I end up being with work and stuff, a lot of times for RPGs for me, it's very much pick up and put down, and it can kind of take me a while to get through RPGs. And like I got through like the 3 hour runtime of the demo single evening, and it stopped at right a good point where it's like they're like, you want more, buy the demo, buy the full game. So I'm looking forward to it now that I gave it a shot, and I see why they're doing it.
Okay, Twinkie, hit us with it.
Kind of with like Roto said, when they announced it, I was kind of hyped at first, but then I was like, we just got a 3DS game not that long ago, and then I looked how long ago it actually was, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was pretty deflated when I heard about some of the stuff that was being cut from the game to kind of streamline it. However, kind of actually, getting our hands on a portion of the game, my impressions of it have drastically improved. Between the voice acting, the diorama style, especially the difficulty settings, I'm pretty well sold on the game. The big question two questions I have is going forward is how the job system's going to be playing out with this remake, as well as like how well are they going to handle with the game with the cut content. I don't think this game will fully replace the PS1 or 3DS versions for me. I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to this, but ever since Final Fantasy VII Remake and the remakes of 1, 2, and 3, a question I've been having recently, really, and I keep thinking about it, is like, do remakes really need to replace the original games? Like, honestly, that's honestly, I don't think they really do. So I'm not really bothered by it. But after playing the demo, I'm pretty well sold.
I agree with that. I've never been a fan of like this X killed my childhood or whatever. I think like a new version of something can coexist with like the original for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah, one of my favorite podcasters I listen to that goes on diatribes forever, like for years. Anytime the object of a remake comes up, he's always like, "What's the point of a remake if it's just the same thing but in HD? Like, sure, you want to port something, great, whatever, bring it up to." Whatever. But if you're actually going to go through with a remake, it needs to say something new or do something new, not just be the exact same experience. You obviously you probably got a new producer, a new director, like put something in there. And yeah, like I'm glad they've put some different things in here already, and put their spin on it. Like if I want to go back and play the PS1 version, I still can. I want to go back and play the 3DS version, I still can. It just isn't killing it. It's just different. Like, it gives me a reason to replay it and do something new. So I'm definitely excited for it. I was like all you, and I'm pretty sure I said it in our the reaction podcast we did this summer, where we're like, they're not redoing Dragon Quest VII bullshit. And I was like, yeah, I'm not ready for that. It's been 10, 12 years. Or it's been 9 years, I guess, for us, or 9.5. because I played it right after my son was born. I know exactly when I played this game on the 3DS. I'm like, okay, I still got that kid. I don't need to replay this again. He hasn't moved out or anything. Like, it's fine. I got plenty of other games to do. I don't need Dragon Quest VII again. But I don't know, just the 4 hours I spent with it, I'm super excited. And I was messaging one of my RP Gamer people, and I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. Like, I haven't like dug into a Dragon Quest game like in years. I'm like, this feels like I'm playing Dragon Quest 11 again for the first time. And they messaged back like, didn't you review Dragon Quest 1+2 and Dragon Quest 3? I was like, oh yeah, I guess I have played a Dragon Quest game. Then I was like, oh crud. Like, also in the past 2 years, I've sunk like 150 hours into Dragon Quest 10 offline. So okay, I guess I've spent about 250 hours on Dragon Quest in the past 2 years. So but it just the excitement and the like going back to 7, which is definitely a top experience for me. It's great. Yay. That's my overall impression, Pendy. What's yours?
Well, I'm like all of you, where when this was first announced officially, I was like, what? This seems weird. Why are we doing 7 all of a sudden? Why can't we do 9, for God's sake?
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Oh,
As we always say on this podcast, oh yeah, the 9 remake can be any day now. It'll be coming along. And so we had an entire podcast, as we joked about in the beginning, about how this rumor obviously is wrong and stupid and whatever, and then it becomes official, and we're like, oh, okay, I guess they're actually doing it. And I was disappointed because I wanted to see something else. And 7 is not like my top tier of Dragon Quest games, but after playing this demo, just like with everybody else, like I was pleasantly surprised and very impressed with what they've done. Just like with the HD 2D remakes, they've taken a big swing for this remake. And most Dragon Quest remakes, they are very good about taking a big swing, and this is also the case when it comes to this remake, at least what I've seen so far from the demo. So I'm really looking forward to playing the whole game. And I'm not married to a lot of the stuff that they might be cutting out Arena, which we have some DLC for as well for some people. So I'm very interested to see, especially after having played the demo now, like what are they going to do? And I'm very excited for it. This seems like they've got a really good director behind it, and I love how they've done it so far with this demo. So when this full version comes out in less than a month, I'll be playing it day one and hopefully having a great time.
Is it less than a month?
Yeah,
It is. It's
February,
early
early February.
Dang.
4, 5, 6, something like that. Like that first
Yep.
Thursday, I think, and first Thursday, first Friday.
Dang.
Either way, it's quick. Alrighty, well, that's all for this episode of Slime Time. Thanks everybody for coming here to talk about Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, and a special thanks to all of our guests. Thanks, Twinkie.
Thanks for having me again.
You're welcome. And thank you, Roto.
Thanks. It's always fun to be on.
Yeah, bye all.
We're a nonprofit podcast. We won't reimagine your hard-earned gold into our pockets when we can offer you quality content for free. But if you do have some extra gold that's just completely burning a hole in your wallet, pouch, bottomless bag, treasure chest, or hanging wall sack, and you would like to donate anything to a website that's been supporting Dragon Quest fans for over 25 years, stop by the Dragon's Den by clicking the link in the show notes. There are several ways to support the Den, including the affiliate links that don't cost you anything extra when making other Dragon Quest purchases, including the game we just talked about. And something I almost forgot. In this game, you can't search the hanging wall sacks. So worst Dragon Quest game ever.
I was going to say, like, I let out an immature laugh at Wallsack. I'm such a child.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that and the petting the dog and the cat thing balances out. Just a thought.
Pretty much.
We've only got the budget for one of those animations.
Oh.
That's what happened.
Can't-
Okay.
You can't pet the wall sacks, but
Cute.
there you go.
We even have a Slime Time t-shirt that was designed by our glorious and attractive resident artist, Dwayne. See the link for it in the show notes.
You can direct comments or questions for the podcast on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram at DQ Slime Time.
And feel free to join in on tons of Dragon Quest discussion at the Dragon's Den forums or Discord, the Dragon Questers Facebook group and Discord, and our Slime Time Facebook group. So many choices.
Please like, subscribe, and write a review for the podcast.
Dragon Quest Slime Time, sliming off.
This is Gertrude for Slime Time, reminding you all that you must complete your adventure.